why the store-bought collagen is not necessarily doing what it says it does. I am a big fan. I am a pharmacist by training, and so I'm a big fan of differentiating what you can get at your grocery store and what you can get at your local pharmacy versus what you can get here or, at any other supplement companies because there are a bajillion and a half collagen supplements out there. And so the problem, not, necessarily, because if you hit somebody with, well, your collagen doesn't work like mine does, your conversation is over and you're never going to get a conversation with them about collagen for a while. So by the time you leave here tonight, I want you to know what collagen actually is, what the different types are, the types of peptides that we have in collagen, as well as the clinical doses. And this is kind of important because, Amari likes to throw around like increases hyaluronic acid by 200 times. Compared to what baseline is my first question. But it's also like, well, okay, so if clinical dose is important. A lot of people have in their head, like, well, if a little is good, a lot must be better. We're going to talk about tonight why that is not borne out with the research. And then let's then talk about what else is inside the formulation that's not just supplying protein. Okay. So collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body. Think of it as your body's structural scaffolding. This is what makes up your skin, your cartilage, your tendons, your ligaments, your bone, and your connective tissue, including the fascia. There's different types of collagen out there. You have your type 1 collagen, that's skin, bone, and tendon. Type 2 is what we get in cartilage. And then type 3, it always goes together with the type 1, and it really almost is exclusively in skin. The problem with collagen is that the collagen molecule is huge. And when it comes to absorption from the GI tract, your GI tract doesn't like huge molecules. That's why it was such a groundbreaking thing when the first ever protein drug was made. There aren't a lot of drugs that are proteins because you simply can't get them through the stomach acid and then you can't get them through the absorptive barriers because that barrier is there to protect you and to prevent foreign invaders from coming in. All right. So the collagen molecule is huge. So this is a word I want you to kind of jot down on your paper tonight. When collagen is hydrolyzed, so when collagen is hydrolyzed, it means that it's broken down into smaller pieces. Okay, so that is one thing that we need to be looking for is we want those hydrolyzed collagen peptides in the products. Okay, when the digestive system breaks down collagen, it breaks them down into amino acids and peptides. But when we think about collagen supplementation, think about eating a pile of bricks, eating just building blocks, right? So you take the collagen, you digest it down into amino acids, and then your body has to expend energy to put those amino acids back together into collagen. That's part of the story, but that's not the entire story. Collagen derived peptides, which are found in the new collagen, survive through the gastrointestinal tract and sufficiently make it into circulation. Okay, this is a pharmaceutical concept called bioavailability for those of you that want to know. This is okay, I take a dose of something. But how much of it actually makes it into my bloodstream? Because if it doesn't make it into your bloodstream, it doesn't make it to its target receptor. It never hits that receptor site, and so it never works. Okay. So collagen peptides are available within the circulations. And researchers are looking at how these specific peptides not only can be put together as raw materials, but how they can actually act as biological signals, which is another cool kind of cutting edge piece of research. It's what the gut brain axis was 25 years ago, is how do these peptides act as biological signals. So if somebody says to you, yes, but my collagen supplement contains 10 grams of collagen. Tell me what you know about collagen peptides. Make them talk to you, right? Like, don't try to be the person that knows it all. If you guys know anything about me, where did I start my business with Amore? Reading the website to people in a very entertaining way, very over and over and over and over again. I could do that for you guys tonight, and you'd think I was a genius. I'm not. I read the website in an entertaining way. And so instead of trying to be the person that conveys all the information all of the time, make them tell you, okay, cool, 10 grams of collagen. Like, are there collagen peptides in there? And they're going to think you're a genius already because they may not have known what a peptide was, but it gives them that construct of new thinking where they're like, maybe I don't know everything that I'm talking about right now. Maybe there is something to learn. So more is not automatically better. A lot of people think 20 grams is got to be as good or better. It's got to be exactly twice as good as 10 grams. That's not how clinical nutrition works. The appropriate dose depends on the ingredient and the mechanism, all right? So in new collagen, let's talk about that Colavant N2. This is native, meaning undenatured type 2 collagen. So collagen, I told you, is a huge molecule. It's also very gnarled and twisted. Things don't like gnarled and twisted, and it makes it very easy to break up in ways because you can just get into one of those little kinks and break it down. So inexpensive collagen will denature collagen where it takes this twisted and gnarled structure. Ooh, didn't mean to zoom in on myself there. And it straightens it out into a straight line. The problem is then your body doesn't recognize it. So that is another key question to ask people as they're saying, well, I already use a collagen supplement. Okay. Is it denatured or is it undenatured? Because you want undenatured. You want the native conformation. All right. Type 2 collagen. So here's the important thing. In the Colavant N2, the studied dose in the research projects was 40 milligrams a day. Okay, 40 milligrams, not 10 grams, not 20 grams. We're talking 40 milligrams. So we're talking 1,000 times less than what you would typically see people bragging about. Well, my collagen has 20 grams or 10 grams or whatever. Because native type 2 collagen isn't being used as a giant source of amino acids, Naomi, stop it. Because it's not being used as a big source of amino acids. The proposed mechanism for how this works involves oral tolerance through the GALT, the gut associated immune system, the gut associated lymphatic system, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So in 2026, there was a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial. This is like the gold standard of clinical trials. There were 74 people who had exercise-related joint discomfort. They received 40 milligrams a day of Colavant N2 for 180 days. All right. And researchers found several measures of improvement in joint health, including function, discomfort, quality of life, though not every outcome was exactly the same among the groups, which is what you would expect. This is what I just taught on my Instagram reel today. I want you to remember that some studies are designed to get what are called DOEs. They're called disease-oriented evidence, right? Disease-oriented evidence is like, I took 20 grams of collagen today and they were able to detect different levels of amino acids in my blood. The problem is nobody cares about that. And you would be shocked how many supplements out there are like, take this supplement you can have more estrogen. Nobody cares if they have more estrogen or more testosterone or a lower cholesterol level. Nobody really cares if their blood pressure is lower. What do we care about as it relates to collagen is what's called a patient oriented piece of evidence that matters, a patient oriented endpoint, a poem. Okay. So, poems are things like I can get out of bed and my joints aren't creaky in the morning. I can jog an extra half a mile. I can chase my 2-year-old grandkid around. My fingers don't hurt after I've worked in my yard all day. I don't know what it is, but I just feel better about life. And so just today, I was asked to compare and contrast supplement from company A to Amare's supplement. And I told them exactly what I told you. Your supplement is marketed to help give you the building blocks of building more estrogen, right? That assumes you have the appropriate enzyme function to transform those building blocks into the estrogen, which takes multiple steps in a chain. But if we look at Everbalance, we're talking about fewer mood swings, fewer hot flashes, better libido. That's what people care about. So people can hammer you all day long and say, I'm taking 20 grams of collagen. But if you don't have a better quality of life and you don't have better function and you don't have less joint discomfort, who really cares, right? I'm not to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so 40 milligrams of most ingredients of collagen, people are going to look at you sideways and they're like, well, you just underdosed your product. Okay, no, not if you have a product that is undenatured type 2 collagen alongside your collagen peptides where you have it absorbable into the bloodstream. You're not eating bricks trying to have your body break them down into pebbles, rebuild them into bricks before you can build the house. You're saying I'm going to take partially hydrolyzed peptides in the form of my pebbles and let my body put those back together. But then I'm also going to use the appropriate dose of an undenatured type 2 collagen that my body can just use to make the house itself. Okay. The next thing, hydrolyzed collagen peptides. Here where is when we start talking about larger amounts because we're dealing with a different form and mechanism, right? So there's good clinical evidence behind using oral hydrolyzed collagen. So randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial, 128 women ages 39 to 59 used an oral collagen matrix. How many of you have seen that word matrix come up as we are talking about the new collagen? The collagen matrix is important. And what we saw there is where we have it combined with peptides, with some hyaluronic acid, and in this study, they had chondroitin in there too. After 12 weeks, researchers reported improvements compared to placebo in facial lines and wrinkles, skin elasticity, as well as if you take like a small biopsy of your skin, you have more cutaneous collagen in there. So, not every single outcome improved. This is important too. I'm not preaching to you that this is a miracle here today. I'm telling you that you can have small improvements over time in facial lines, wrinkles, skin elasticity, and cutaneous collagen. Other things like skin surface water content, retention were not different between placebo. That said, that's why you can combine the collagen alongside your New Day and New Night serums because those are for your water content within the skin. Here's another thing I would like for you to recognize in both of these trials. The second trial was 12 weeks long. The first one was 180 days long. My favorite comeback after someone, and the studies on Amare's websites that are cited are 6 weeks, 42 days. Okay. So if somebody comes back to me and like, it's been like 4 hours and I haven't seen dramatic improvements, you're like, not gonna drop some curse words on you right now, but you're like, wow, tell me about that. How long did you use it? When really you want to like strangle somebody because you're like, of course you haven't seen improvement in 4 hours. You would not see improvement in 4 hours with some of the most potent drugs on the planet, some of the most potent medications on the planet. There are very few medications out there that work like that. That's why if you've got somebody who's like literally got a 4 hour long window before they give up hope on all things Amore, give them Edge. Give them Edge. That is the one product that you can pretty dang consistently say, or give them the Rudist. That is the one product that you can pretty consistently say, hey, you're gonna feel something within the first like 30 minutes to an hour. And I consistently tell people you're gonna feel something different in your hair the first time that you wash your hair using the Rudist products. And so if people are coming back to you, again, if you're trying to master the art of communicating science here, you have to think like a scientist. You have to communicate like a scientist. You know, friend, I hate to hear that it hasn't worked for you after 4 hours. The clinical studies were actually done in 6 weeks. Would you work with me for the next 6 weeks and let's see how you feel after that? Because that can be a completely different thing. Another thing Laura taught me long ago is people forget how crappy that they feel, right? So people come to you and they're like, I don't know, I've been drinking happy juice and I just don't feel any different. Get people to fill out the surveys, the questionnaires, the like, how much energy do you have when you get out of bed in the morning? How much motivation do you have to like take on an extra, providing snacks at practice for a kid? How much patience do you have for your husband? Whatever those measures are that they are saying they're struggling with, because they in their heads may go, I don't feel any different. I don't anything. But if you give them, say, look, 90 days, 30 days, whatever you can get them to agree to. I'm a constant negotiator when it comes to this. If they say, look, I'm willing to give this 30 days, but after 30 days, if I don't like it, I really, truly want you to help me to return it. Okay. Then you better give them something that they can measure after 30 days and blame it on being a scientist. I'm a scientist. I really like data. I really want to know and make sure because people forget that they're rating their energy when they get out of bed in the morning at a 6. And then when you show them, like, well, friend, you're rating this at an 8.5. Now, do you really want to go back to a 6? Like, do you remember the comments? You said that getting out of bed every morning was a drag, that you had to set your alarm. Now you're waking 10 minutes before your alarm. Those kinds of small incremental changes can really make a difference over time when you are talking to people. So keep that duration of the clinical study. And another point here that the last study I mentioned is like some of the endpoints were different compared to placebo, some of them weren't. So somebody may hammer you and say, well, I know, but that collagen, it just didn't improve skin water retention. I don't know who would say that, but someone. And you go, well, just because every endpoint is not statistically significant, you don't have to have every single endpoint to win, right? This is an important thing when you're helping people evaluate their before and afters. You know, they're like, I just really want to be a 12 out of 10 every single moment of every single day. Okay. But if they're going from a 7 to an 8 or an 8 to an 8.5, when they've felt like no motivation to get out of bed or clean their house for years, that is a big, big win. Please also don't underestimate the power of before and after photos. Okay. So, for example, I had somebody sign up the other day and she went with like a huge collection of products. And I was like, what's your plan here? Like, what are you wanting to do? And I said, are you planning on sharing on social media? Are you planning on just seeing how it goes and whether, you love the products? What it? And she was like, I don't post on social media ever. And I said, that's great. I do. Send me. I need a before picture. Send me what you think about it after the first time that you use it. A lot of people reach that like no and they think the no's a dead end. The no is just the opportunity to find the other yes, right? You just got to keep going, okay? So, um, here's another thing. Amare's formulation of new collagen is not one giant scoop of generic collagen peptides. You've got type 1, type 2, and type 3 collagen with your hyaluronic acid matrix and a lot of other ingredients that target different aspects of connective tissue as well as total body wellness health. Over 25 nutritional clinical studies were evaluated. And let's talk about Mobility, the hyaluronic acid rich matrix. Hyaluronic acid is fascinating because it binds water and it's an important component of synovial fluid. That's the fluid sac that's inside of your knees and your elbows and your other joints, as well as in your extracellular tissue. So all the space between the cells. Is made up of hyaluronic acid as well as water and other things. So, randomized clinical controlled trial, random knee pain, 80 milligrams a day of a rooster comb extract. Believe it or not, that's a great source of collagen. The comb is the thing on their head, you know. Was studied for 3 months. It's got that rich matrix in there. And what's cool is that, yeah, they were looking for improvements in knee pain. But what they found is that measures of muscle strength improved, although the pain itself did not significantly differ between the groups. So it's not always about the collagen. It's not always about taking the hyaluronic acid. It is about what are we putting together to get the best possible outcome. Okay. So the hyaluronic acid, dermiol, and then the collagen tripeptide GPX4. Your skin is basically one big, your skin isn't one big tub of collagen powder. It's what's called an extracellular matrix. Collagen matters, but so does water, hyaluronic acid, fibroblast activities, oxidative stress, and micronutrient status. Okay. So that was why, actually, when I looked at the new collagen label, one of the things that I think doesn't get talked about enough is the fact that there is vitamin C in this. And you may be thinking, like, well, what does vitamin C have to do with anything? Vitamin C is an essential cofactor in collagen biosynthesis. So cofactors work when you've got a starting product and an end product, and you have an enzyme that drives you from your starting product to your end product. Sometimes those enzymes, they get squirrely. They run off to the wrong place. They're not finding their right substrates. They are just not being held in line. And the cofactor comes in and says, you're going to sit right here and drive this enzymatic reaction, right? So vitamin C is an essential cofactor in collagen biosynthesis. So now, when you think about new collagen, you can also think, what does the body require to maintain, synthesize, and organize our connective tissue? We can't go into it tonight because we don't have time, but you also have vitamin B12, biotin, resveratrol, cerebiome, and lots of other ingredients in there tonight. So, key questions that you can keep at top of mind. Is the collagen that the person that you're talking to somebody, I want to give you some Amare collagen, and they say, no, I've already got collagen. Is it hydrolyzed? Is it native? Is it both? Is there one, two, or three types of collagen represented? Are there trademarked and patented ingredients that have been studied, or is this a generic collagen powder? Is the amount within the recommended daily usage consistent with the dose that was done in research? Does it contain complementary ingredients like vitamin C or hyaluronic acid? Is the company willing to show you human clinical evidence on the actual ingredients, or are they just pulling different data claims out of the air? Okay. So that is, I mean, I guess I could say liquid collagen. We can touch on that another day. But these are some reasons why your collagen may not be working as well as it could. So, thank you, and I'll pass it
Thank
back to Laura.
you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lindsay. Man, the chat has been blowing